Welcome back. Social Therapy, official episode 1. I've been looking forward to this for quite some time. We have a very special guest, my mom, Kim Bray, the legend. Ladies and gentlemen, happy Valentine's Day. So first and foremost, happy Valentine's Day, Mom.
Thank you, son. These are beautiful.
You're very, very welcome.
My favorite color. And it was my dad's favorite color, yellow.
I did not know that.
Yes, it was. Okay, I'll put them
Look,
right here.
I'll take care of it for you so you ain't got to worry about that.
Okay, thank you.
You're good. Thank you for being a great mom.
Oh, y'all so sweet.
Well, that's what we're here to talk about today. So, there's a lot of people around town that have had you as either a coach or a teacher or a mentor or some variation of that. Or you've had coaches that I still have reach out to me and be like, man, your mom, you really need to go talk to your mom. So
Right.
Here we are. I really wanted to open this whole podcast up with you and letting you tell your story to whoever stops to listen. I appreciate you guys. And from that point forward, we're just kind of going to roll on with hanging out and wherever it goes from there. So,
There's no telling.
did you, right, did you, and we have Cole. Cole, you want to pop? You want to throw some deuces? Don't knock the light over, bro.
Tear down the light again.
Don't knock the light over.
So guys, hey, behind the scenes.
But yeah, everybody's
Take care of us.
everybody's back. So we're gonna try to do this either weekly or bi-weekly. Thank you for all the support from the first video. It was great having so much feedback from the community. We're about to run this thing, guys. But first things first. How you doing?
I'm doing good.
How was your day?
It was good. Me and Dad got up and went and ate at Magnolia for Valentine's Day.
Nice. So y'all got a little Valentine's
We got a
Day
little
in.
Valentine's in.
Good.
Yeah, so,
Did you always grow up in Elberton?
always.
So you've been here your whole life?
Yep.
Okay.
Born in Elmore Hospital.
There was very few of us that were born. Well, how long do you know how long they birthed babies? Because I know I was one of the few that was like the last to taper
Right.
off before. Were you born, Cole, in
Yeah, he was
Elberton?
born in Elmore.
Cole might have been then, because that's 3.5 years after me. So you
Right.
might have been one of the last groups.
And I can literally throw a rock and hit my house
Right, from where you were
from where I was
born.
born. Yeah.
We don't go far sometimes. But yeah, so you grew up, spent your whole life in Elbert County, or did some traveling in between, I'm sure?
Yeah.
What was your mom and dad? Let's start there. Let's go to
there.
the start.
All right.
And tell me about your mom and dad.
Well, my mom and dad were born and raised in Elberton.
Mhm.
My mom came from a family of 12. I believe the 12th one kind of passed away, so there was 11 of them. I used to remember them all, but I'm older now.
Look.
I can't remember them all.
I barely remember his birthday, so it's okay.
So,
That's mean.
and then Dad, he had a brother, my Uncle Horace, and he passed away this past year, so we're just missing him too. So mostly everyone that my grandmother, I don't know, originally she may have been from Elberton. I can't remember. I know she was a Thornton, so.
Well, Thornton's has been running this town along
Right.
for quite some time, too.
And a lot of people will come up to me and say, "Oh, I'm your cousin," and I'm like, "Oh, okay."
Nice
From
to
what
meet you.
family?
Yeah.
Because of course, I've told you both boys that Mom and Dad died of it when I was young, so I didn't get to learn everybody I was kin to
Right.
and the family dynamic of where everybody was and where they came from and stuff. But I've had Bunny Lyle, when I was at the Wellness Center, she done the history for Dewberries and the Harpers.
So you have like
I
a
kinda
lineage?
Kind
That's cool.
of got a little tree of where we extended from.
I'd like to check that out.
Yeah.
Tommy, what was Tommy like?
From what I can remember,
Yeah.
I remember two things because he died right before I was 5, or I may have been 5. But there was a thing going on at Halloween when they were putting stuff in the apples, and he said, let me go back. I have some siblings. I have a sister, Tammy, a brother, Dooley, and a brother, Kyle, and I'm the baby. So Tammy took us all through the neighborhood And he was like, y'all don't look, don't eat no candy till I can see it.
Right.
So
this has been an ongoing thing for generations. Has always been worried about what you're getting in your candy bag.
Yeah, it's
Poison
crazy.
and candy
Yeah.
and razor blades and
It's
apples.
2023, and that would have
Yeah,
been
it
what,
was
the
razor-
70s?
Yeah, this was in the 70s.
70s?
Yeah. Well, no, this was in the 60s.
60s.
Because Dad died in 70. Yeah, so it was in the 60s because I was born in 64.
Some things don't change.
No. So I remember that. So when we got back, of course, we all put our bags up there, and he looked through them and he let us see our candy. And then everybody's always picked on me and said, your daddy used to load y'all up like dogs and put y'all in the back of that Granada. No, it wasn't a Granada. It was a Ranchero. And we'd go and eat at the Shanty.
Does Shanty still exist?
The building's still
The building's
there.
still there.
Yeah.
I know they opened it up for a little bit when I was in high school because we'd go to
Right.
eat
Is that
breakfast.
the one next to Thornton's?
That's
Yeah.
exactly right.
Yeah, it was the Shanty.
Yeah.
So he used to take us, it was like religiously every Saturday morning we would go eat the Shanty with our dad. And that's basically really all I remember. I mean, I don't have too many memories.
So,
But as far as my dad, everybody said he was a great man, the older I get, when I was little, they said I look like the Dewberries, and as the older I get, they say I look like Tommy, my dad. So I'll take it. I'll take both of them because they said they were great people.
right.
Yeah.
No, I've never heard a bad thing said about Tommy Harper.
Yeah.
So your dad was Tommy. What was your mom's name?
Martha and Dewberry.
Martha Ann Dewberry. So
Yeah.
Dewberries, Harpers. That's awesome. Where do you, outside of the, telling your dad's story, your mom was,
My mom.
I know, a high school sweetheart or a
Yeah, she was-
homecoming
she was,
queen?
yeah,
Okay, I
my
remember something
mom-
like that.
Yeah, my mom was homecoming queen for Elberton County.
How about that?
Ain't that? And I've got her crown. I still have her crown. It's in my china cabinet. But Mom was a basketball player. She.
So she was very athletic too.
Oh yeah, and my
See,
dad.
I didn't know that.
And my dad was too.
Well, I knew Tommy was like a
Yeah.
boxer. He was also athletic, and he was
Right.
also a bit of a daredevil, from what
Oh,
I
yeah.
understand.
Yeah.
Which we get honest. I can say that.
Yeah.
We get it honest.
Yeah, we do. And two, if somebody, says they can beat us, if they do, we'll
Let's
pat them
get
on
it.
the back. But yeah.
Let's
But
We're
the
hyper
chat-
competitive
We're
people.
very competitive.
We're
And
very
we
competitive
get
people.
we get that honest,
For
very
sure.
honest. But Mom was a great athlete, and she was homecoming queen. And then I kind of wanted to do a research because, Mom, of course, she passed away when I was 10.
Mm-hmm.
So I just really didn't get to learn a lot about Mom and Dad and them meeting in high school and stuff. And I've had a few people kind of tell me, the stories and stuff. But they were great people. But when my dad passed away, my mom just had a hard time dealing with it.
Now, what age were you when your dad passed?
5.
5.
Or right at 5. I was fixing to be 5.
So how did he pass?
He passed racing a car on the Bowman Highway, and I've asked some people, and they're like, "It's just best you don't know." So I'm just kind of person that, they maybe I don't need to know. Just let bygones be bygones. But I just I always wanted to know. You want to know the history of things. But when he wrecked, they said it snapped the main stem to his brain, so he's kind of a vegetable. And he was in Greenville I just remember when we were little, Mom would load us all up in the station wagon and we'd go to Greenville, but I didn't know why we were going because we would have like Aunt Dot and Aunt Priscilla and I think Aunt Peepsy, my mom's side of the family, was going with us and kind of watch us at the motel room. And Mom was taking care of Dad.
How long did that go on?
I want to say it was either 6 months or 9 months. And then he passed away. So that was a toll with my mom because she's trying to raise 4 kids.
Well, I couldn't imagine.
Yeah.
Like, I have a wife and 2 kids now. Like, if I didn't have her, I don't know
Yeah.
what I'd do.
Yeah.
So.
And I think, thinking back, I know Dad's mom was still living, but I don't think her parents were still living. So she was
by herself.
Yeah, she had her siblings that were still here, but a lot of them had moved away. So.
6 to 9 months of being back and forth to Greenville.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So.
And then she didn't do well after that.
No. And now that I'm older and have talked to like Aunt Charlotte, that y'all know, I told her she would be a great person to be on here because she knows the history. I mean, from the beginning
I'd
of the
love to have her
Harpers to
on.
the end. Yeah,
Yeah, I'd love to have
She'd
her.
be a great one to be on. But yeah, she couldn't handle it, and she turned to drinking, and it just, that's why I told y'all, addiction's on our side of the family. And my mom's always said, I remember when I was a little girl, she said that majority of her siblings on the DeBeer side either died of alcohol or cancer. And I always said I'd never die of alcohol because I don't drink, and I
You
got
ended up with cancer.
Yeah, so
Life
Cancer
happens.
free now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we're cancer
cancer-free.
free. What has it been,
That's right.
7
Praise-
years?
8
years?
years.
8 years? That's
yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know that wasn't easy, obviously. But at such a young age, you not knowing, did it ever, did you ever wonder, why your mom changed? Did it ever occur to you,
Yeah.
this was what happened at that young of an age, at 5 years old, being having to come into consciousness of
Right.
being okay, this is happening.
No,
This is a
I
part of
didn't-
life.
Yeah, I didn't understand it from age 5 to 10.
It was just
I
life.
mean,
It's just
it
what you
was-
knew.
That's all I knew.
Right.
But sometimes we wouldn't get to school on time, or we wouldn't get picked up on time.
Right.
And thank God for Coach Edwards. He was the
Coach
principal
Edwards?
that lived up the road from us in our neighborhood. Jolene, and I always called him Coach Edwards.
Maybe. Was he the one that helped coach basketball? Had a
No,
daughter?
he'd already
No, I'm thinking of
retired.
Rampy.
Yeah,
I'm thinking
yeah,
Coach Rampy.
Yeah, he'd already retired, but he it's amazing just looking back how society is now, as far as if you see abuse or something's going on. I mean, they come in like an army. Well, back then, the community took care of you. They didn't want to see you have your
Family taken away.
not split, and especially we already not have a dad. They didn't want us to not have a mom.
Right.
But she struggled. But Mary Jean, Steve Hickenbottom?
Yeah.
Okay, Steve Hickenbottom, Connie, and Deborah, all of them took care of us.
Which is why y'all are still so close to this day.
Yes. Like, remember when my sister passed away in November of 20?
Mhm.
That's why the Hickenbottoms were there. Because they're like our family. I mean, they're very, very close to our family.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine.
That's why I call Steve my brother. He always calls me his sister. We just, we still stay in touch, which is a blessing. And when your dad got hurt, when he fell and broke his back, and I was trying to protect y'all from the news getting out, Steve and Lori at the house immediately taking phone calls and taking care of things so I could take care of you guys, because I didn't have anybody.
Right.
So that's why you have good friends and family. That's why family's so important. That's why I talk to you all the time. Love,
You only got one.
be kind to people.
It's important.
Always treat people like you want to be treated.
Well, you never know how far that's going to stretch down the line.
Right. And
You
we
never
learned
know
that from our
the ripple
grandmother.
effect. Yeah.
And we'll get to Granny later.
Corrine?
Corrine.
Corrine. I know her name.
Oh, Corrine.
I've heard Corrine a couple
God help
times.
us.
But that 5-year stint after your dad, I know that y'all went through a really hard time. You've told me bits and pieces of it. If you
Right.
want to share with people, you can. If you don't want to, that's completely
Well,
up
I
to
mean,
you.
it was just a lot of people, if you are living in alcoholism, the abuse that comes with it. I mean, it's just some people can drink and be happy. Some people can drink and get ugly.
Mm-hmm.
And my mom was one of those. She just, her mind was just, she thought she could get rid of her problems by drinking.
And what an
and
escape is
a
what most
lot-
people look for in
yeah.
that kind of situation.
Yeah, I think she was just trying to escape. But there's so many stories of just crazy stuff that we've done or had to do that, there's some things that I'm not going to mention because it's too personal. But one time when I was little, Mom, I think I was maybe 7, and it was like on a Sunday, and she'd run out of alcohol. So Mom puts me in her, at that time she had a tan Mustang, I think it was. I think it was a Mustang. So she puts me in there, and I can't reach the floorboards. Well, she's drunk, so she's like, "You're taking me to the bootlegger," and I'm like, "I can't even drive." So thank God the road we lived on in Sunny Acres, now it's all paved, but it was all dirt back then. So she got me sitting up on pillows, scooted up as far as I could, and you know how the steering wheel is? I was sitting down like
Looking
this,
through it.
looking through, trying to stay on the road, and if I didn't, she'd grab it every once in a while and tell me I was going toward a ditch. But drove over there, she went to her bootlegger, and then back home, and it's a wonder we didn't get killed.
That's incredible.
I mean, it's crazy.
It's a different
the
day and
stuff that
age.
I had to do, you know, but I was afraid she was going to spank us or
Get on to you for not doing what you was asked.
But we done what she told us to do, like, especially if we knew she wasn't in her right mind. So,
But it ended up taking her too.
yeah, she ended up, my grandmother on my dad's side, Corrine, sent her to Milledgeville, and Granny, in that time she was gone, took us all in. When she came back, she was coming back that day on a bus, and I'll never forget when she walked in, she had this orange, like, fluffy jacket. And when she walked in, we were all sitting on the Granny's couch, and she was like, all right, kids, it's time to go home. And we're looking around, we're scared to death. Because, you know, after 5 years of the in and out of the abuse, and sometimes we didn't have food to eat, thank God Steve's mom would look down there and see that the station wagon hadn't left, so she'd come down there and get us off to school. You know, she was taking care of us along with Steve and Connie and Deborah. But she came home, and we were sitting there, and she said, all right. Granny said, y'all going to go home with your mom? And Tammy shook her head no, and Dooley shook his head no, and Kyle was like, no. And I'm, being the youngest, I'm like, I'm going home with my mom.
Right.
So I went home that night, and sure enough, it just turned into a disaster. You know, I ended up coming down the hall, and she pulled out alcohol out of her pocket, and I started crying because I was like, this is where we sent you to not do something. And I think in between the bus stop somewhere, she got off, got in a liquor store, got what she wanted, and got home with it. And she looked at me and she said, you don't tell nobody. Well, I was so little, I didn't even know how to call Granny's number. I mean, I didn't know. And so we ended up riding to somebody's house that she was seeing or had started seeing before she got sent off. And that, you know, was a disaster in itself, because an alcoholic don't need to date an alcoholic. And
Right.
he was one. So shortly after that, I think a year or two rocked on, and she eventually she wouldn't quit drinking. And I mean, the last day that I remember before my mom died, I had got up when we used to ride our bikes up to the Elks Club pool.
Mm-hmm.
And I woke up that morning, and I said, Mom, I'm fixing to ride to the Elks pool. And she was, of course, in the bed, and the pool opened up at 1 o'clock, and I said, she said, well, you be careful, and I love you. I said, I love you too. So I'm riding my bike up North Oliver Street in front of the fairgrounds, and the ambulance came by. Well, you know, the ambulances around here are everywhere. So I ride onto the pool, and then Dooley and Tammy and Kyle had came, and we ended up, Uncle Horace came, and I would say it was probably 3 or 4, and not knowing that the ambulance was going to pick our mom up.
Right.
And so they took us to the hospital, and Mom passed away that day. So in my heart, the last words were, I love you.
Right.
And that means a lot to me.
Right.
So, but I think if Dad and her wouldn't have had alcohol in their relationship, they probably would have been here longer.
Right.
But we can't question anything, because that was the way God, you know, God's got a plan.
Right.
You know, so.
How'd you reconcile with all that? Did you?
I did. I mean, I still miss them to this day. I mean, I couldn't imagine what Dad and Mom would think of you two. They'd be so proud. And especially my grandmother, because she always said, you won't never get married or have a baby. And I'm like, Granny, I will. She said, well, you got to get in this house and quit shooting basketball and learn to cook. I said, I'll marry a man that can. And
you did.
I did. I married a man that can. My husband can cook. He can cook very good. So anyway, it's just Yeah.
I said, get it, Dad.
Right.
Yeah. But I think once Mom died and Granny took us in, I think I took all my anger and madness and put it into my sport. And I think that's why I succeeded.
Well, it made you great.
It was my only outlet. That was my only outlet.
It seems like that's a driving force between like a lot of people that end up being great in life have this extremely dark place that they come from that spurs on the reasoning that they have for continuing or doing, or this passion or this drive that they have, because they're channeling something. You know,
They all got a chip on their shoulder.
for real. I mean, yeah, for sure.
I just wanted to know I could do better, and I know I had come from a great gene pool.
Yeah.
And then, of course, when Granny got us,
And she was a Harper, right, Corey?
she was a Thornton, and she married my granddaddy Thomas Harper.
Thomas Harper.
Yeah.
Okay, and he was a Quarryman.
Yeah, he was
as
a
well.
Quarryman.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I was talking about. We're fourth generation.
Yeah. And
granite men.
And Granny, when she took us in, our granddaddy, he of course, he died shortly after Tammy was born. He always told my dad, is what my grandmother always said. She said, he always told your daddy he wanted a blue-eyed, red-headed little girl, baby girl, and here come Tammy. That's exactly what she was. But Granddaddy, he got killed at the quarry. He was
he the one welding?
He was welding on a tank, and he thought it was cut off, and it wasn't. And
the tank blew up.
It blew up. Yeah. So, yeah.
A lot of granite life
I'm
that we've
telling
been
you.
living in this town.
Yeah. And of course, Dad and Horace fell right into the quarry.
I'd like to have somebody that knew them as young men and brothers to talk to one day. Maybe Charlotte.
Right. Aunt Charlotte or my Uncle Ronnie.
Somebody that hung
Brown.
around him that could tell me stories about what Tommy was like in his youth,
Right.
in his military
Well, maybe if
days.
somebody watches this, they can, reach out and say, my dad
Right.
said, and you can get them on here. Because, I know a lot of people that knew Dad, but I didn't know, like, his niche,
Right.
who he hung out with. I know Tookie Swords did. Tookie Swords.
Tookie Swords.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the guy that has the old cars?
Yes.
I thought I knew that
And
name.
I remember him telling me something about him and Dad doing race cars together. Because Dad raced cars, too.
Well, the car accident happened in a 60s Corvette?
Yeah, it was a 60-something
60s
Corvette.
model Corvette.
Mm-hmm.
Scoop side, whatever it's called. When it's got the
had that
cutout
little thing out.
and cut out from behind the wheel.
Yeah, yeah.
That's pretty cool.
I never seen it. I think vividly, I remember being with Mom riding to the gas station that they had it, sitting behind.
Mm-hmm.
But, it's just vivid things. I think I
Here and there.
remember it, but I'm like, is that really what but...
So when Corrine took y'all in, you went, up to 5 with parents. Your dad passed away, and then 5 to 10 was rough for you and your siblings. And then Corrine took you guys in. Was it like a culture shock moving in with your grandmother,
yeah.
going from that environment to a new one entirely?
Yeah. Just to go back at Mom, when we were with Mom, there was no sense of, I wouldn't say there wasn't discipline, but it was usually for the wrong reason. You know what I'm saying? Like,
You got in trouble for getting into things that she didn't want you to get around or in stuff like that?
Well, no, like we could be outside, and if she decided we need to be in and we didn't come immediately,
Problems.
we had problems. So there was always some issues going on. But we roamed the neighborhoods. I mean, I the reason I'm such a tomboy is because of my 2 brothers, Dooley and Kyle. I mean, I kind of thought I was a boy, I hung out with Derek Christian, Steve Hickenbottom, Steve Ridgeway. I mean, it was all boys, and Tammy was such a, she was 5 years older than me, so all I had to hang out with, Bill Simmons, Mike Simmons, it was just a whole, Chris Brady. It was just a bunch of boys. And so I
Grew
get
up
out
tough
there,
playing sports.
I did. I played football with them and done all kind of stuff with them. Y'all would have to get Dooley and Kyle on here if y'all want to.
Oh, I will.
If you want to crack
Well,
a
I was gonna
side, they
talk.
hilarious.
Well, I wanted to bring them on just because they toured and did band stuff in college, and now after they've had lives and careers, they are now doing it again together as
Right.
brothers. Like they're going to be playing around Lander and
Yeah.
Greenwood area
the-
and stuff
yeah.
like that.
Mhm.
Anderson.
Yeah,
So that's really cool. I really want to have them on too.
right.
Um,
But I think, all of us channeled, like Kyle was a great golfer, he still is. Dooley was in a band. Dooley was a great football player. Tammy was a cheerleader. She won homecoming queen.
well, she was a wizard with, like, she was a smart.
Oh yeah,
Smart
Tammy
woman.
was
Very
she
intelligent
ended up owning her own mortgage company. And then when she went to college, she was homecoming queen there. I mean, she was just a beautiful person inside and out, and very smart.
Yeah.
And I was telling somebody when Sissy passed away, not only did I lose a sister, but I lost a mom.
Yeah.
Because she really had to step up and be our mom during those tough times of our mom having her.
Well, if you were 5 to 10, she was 5 years older than you,
Mhm.
so she was 10 to 15
Yeah.
at that time.
Yeah, and she did a great job. And then, of course, when Granny raised us, like I said, we ran rapid. We had no sense of time or whatever. And then when we got to Granny's, whoo, we learned within a month
This is what
What-
life is.
what it means to be on time, what structures like discipline and responsibilities. I mean, she had us, we were down to a core. And I mean, it was a blessing,
It's probably what you needed.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
a blessing that we still had her.
Well, for her, how old was she when she took y'all in?
God, 60s?
So for her at that age to take on 4 kids
I know.
and just be like, we got this,
Yeah.
So,
And Tammy encouraged her. He said, Granny, I promise you I will not let anybody get out of hand. We're going to be great kids, and I'm going to help you get all of us raised.
we all turned into great people.
Yeah,
So
and we all got
y'all did great
college
jobs.
degrees, and we all got college degrees because my dad told my grandmother he had opportunity to go to college and play. Our Uncle Horace played at University of Kentucky football, and so Dad didn't go. He stayed home and worked the family business, and
The quarry?
the quarry.
Okay.
He worked the quarry, and Granny owned Apex. And there was Harper's Quarry and Oglethorpe Quarry. And so he stayed back. So I think when he started having kids, he told his mom, he said, if anything ever happens to me, you make sure my kids go to college and get an education. And she did. And so my thing for being the last one to go, I was like, Granny, no matter what, I'm gonna get a full ride.
Right.
And that's why I really I knew I could do it. It was just, always outside. Even after practice, I'd come home and be shooting basketball. I just loved it. I loved it. And I played softball, but I didn't.
You chased a passion of basketball
Yeah,
and
basketball
played
was my
other
passion.
sports.
Yeah, I played other things, but basketball was my passion. It
Like
was.
that. Well, thank God for Corrine.
Oh, yeah, we all say that. And everybody in this town says that. Granny saved us.
She did.
Basically, she saved us. Because I remember, did y'all ever play at the Singley Field behind Granny's house on
Yeah.
North Augur Street?
All the time.
Okay.
I only played there like once or twice.
No, we used to practice there. We had games there at
Right.
one point in time when I was
Well,
young.
when we first moved in, when softball and all that started over there, we're like, can we go to the ball field? And so me and Tammy and Dooley, we'd take off running behind the Granny's house, cross over record trucking, and we out there playing. I'm playing cup ball. We was getting it. Tammy was probably up in the stands being Miss Beautiful like she always was. And so we were playing and stuff. We wasn't paying attention to the game. And all of a sudden the lights went out. And
Ooh.
people were leaving. Honey, we took off running. And Granny told Tammy we were supposed to be home at 9 o'clock. And we come around that house, and Granny was sitting on the porch rocking in that rocking chair. She said, girls, when y'all take a bath, let me know before you get dressed. Kyle and Dooley was sitting on the couch like, oh my gosh, what's fixing to happen? So we took a bath. I have never tried to climb behind a toilet so quick in my life. She had them switches, and I mean, she tore our tails up. Kyle and Dooley went and got their bath. And this was before she added on, so she had that hall bathroom. And they got their tails tore up, and she set us all on the couch, and she said, when I say 9 o'clock, I mean 9 o'clock. We were like, yes, ma'am. She said, y'all grounded for a month. A month seemed like 2 years. And so every day we'd come home.
Had to stay in the house.
Just stay in the house. You know, couldn't go outside and shoot no basketball. Ain't no playing, no nothing. So if we was doing anything, we was washing dishes, folding clothes, dusting, vacuuming, house chores that, you know, we didn't know to do at our house.
Right.
Because we were, 5 to 10 years old was the span.
Right.
So anyway, when that month was up, we're like, thank God Sopo and was the things were still going on behind the house. We're like, Granny, can we go? She said,
be home at 9.
Y'all be home at 9. Honey, we was over there, we'd play cup ball a little bit and we'd run by each other and go, what time is it? They go, 7:10. And honey, when it got 8:45, it was all loaded up. Tammy said, let's go. And I was in the middle of a cup ball game, and I was like, bye! And we took off running across the street through Brooker's trucking, through Granny's, and we come around that corner. She was sitting there like that, rocking. She said, she just smiled, never said a word, smile on her face. We all sat in those chairs, and she had a little rounded off little porch on her back of her house. We sat down and told her,
what all you've been up to.
What all we've been doing. And she said, well, y'all 10 minutes early. We said, Granny, we'll never want to spank it like that again. She meant business.
Yeah,
but she instilled that right then. There wasn't no second chances. And so we knew to always be on time from that day forward.
That's awesome.
Even as we got teenagers, we'd be riding around, Dooley say, getting close to 10, we got to go, and Granny'd see them headlights turn in. She knew we was coming home on time. We never disrespected her.
It only took once.
Oh, yeah.
Only took once.
One time.
So how long did she stay with y'all?
Granny passed away when I was 20. So we lived with her for 10 years. And
well, you had to do a lot between 10 and 20?
Yeah.
So you had her for a decade.
Yeah.
You had 10 years with her.
Yeah. So
where'd you go to high school?
I went to Elberton County. We all, after my dad died, my mom put us in a private school. It was called Samuel Obert Academy here. Yeah, over there where the wrestling, Elberton County wrestling.
They still do that there?
Gym. I don't even think anything's going on over there.
That's a big facility.
It turned into a Christian school later on, but I'd already left. But Tammy and Dooley graduated from there, and me and Kyle kept saying, Granny, if we're going to play college, we have got to get to the high school and play with people that are competitive, or better than we are,
right,
for us to get better. So Kyle went in the 11th grade, I was in 10th grade. So I was at the high school 10th, 11th, 12th grade.
Did Kyle get picked up for golf out of high school?
Yeah. Yeah, he went to Gainesville College. And then I went to Emmanuel. Yeah, Coach Bonner.
So you went to Emmanuel while your grandmother was still alive?
Yes.
Okay.
And they called me E.T. because I always was
phoning
home. And so Coach Bonner, to this day, he's still the basketball coach at Emmanuel. And I ran into him the other night at the high school game, and he said, E.T., what you doing? I said, I ain't doing nothing, Coach. But he really made a big statement in my life, just guiding me in the right way to what college I should go to after I left him.
Well, it's funny how God kind of puts people in place along the way
right,
that you never really know are going to be really directing
your path,
your next steps.
Right.
And then from that point forward, just from there.
Right.
But
right,
it is funny, I've had a couple of those through college I ran into that really changed the way I thought about things.
Yeah. But when me and Dooley and Tammy and Kyle were there, I think we had been there maybe a year. And, defects, just like anybody, when you get your family taken, you're bringing in somebody else's kids. They finally told Granny, said, if you're planning on keeping them, because we would rotate. Granny had 2 bedrooms. And, of course, Dad, and, of course, there was only 2 boys, so they had 1 bedroom. and Granny and I guess Thomas's bedroom, and then it was a living room, and that was it. She had what she called the preacher room that nobody was allowed to go in, and then the kitchen. And I remember Deepak's coming, and we were all sitting there, and they said that, well, how's their rotation? Like, where did they sleep? Well, me and Tammy would sleep. One week we'd have the bed, the front bedroom, and the boys would sleep in the living room on the couch or, the chair or the floor. And then the next week the boys would get the bedroom. And so we did that for almost a year. And then she said, well, you really need to extend your quarters for them to be here. If not, then we can find, for them to be adopted. And Granny said, no, they're not going nowhere. I'll adopt them.
Well, they would have split y'all more than likely.
Granny even told us, outside of us being there, she was one-on-one with them, that they would have probably sent one to Florida, one to South Carolina, one would have stayed in Georgia, and one would,
Alabama, Tennessee, something like that. So they went different states.
So we would have all been split up at one time.
I wonder why they do that.
I don't know. But
it's interesting.
Granny wasn't going to let it happen. And that was in the 80s, because, Dad died in the 70s, and then Mom died in 76. So, yeah. So,
how's my time looking?
For the 80s.
You're at 36 minutes.
Perfect. I just wanted to check with you.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank God for Corrine. I'll say it again.
Yeah. My brother Kyle's got a thing on the wall that talks about Granny. And it'll bring tears to your eyes. I started to bring it, but I couldn't read it, because it's just, it just really just said, it talks about her taking in 4 kids and sacrificing her life for us. And it's touching.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's touching.
What about Willie? Miss Willie?
Oh, now listen.
Yeah, where did Miss Willie come into all this?
Honey,
Because
Willie.
that's my favorite old woman. I'm rest her soul now, but Miss Willie was the bomb.
Yeah, Willie. We had
Full name?
there was
Willie Wilburn?
Willie Wilburn.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
I
Willie
know that,
Wilburn
but I
was
just-
my
Yeah,
mama.
I was about, yeah.
And she was a black lady, and she was the most precious thing that ever happened to the Harper family. But before her was Willira Harper. I think I'm saying her name right. And she's still living. We'll see her every once in a while. But Willie came in,
To do what?
I think, when Dad passed.
To help your grandma with the
or
house?
or when Dad had the wreck, Willie came in, started helping Mama with us, helping with the house, trying to, make sure we had food and
So
stuff.
she was there with your mom and grandmother.
So she's
Yes.
she's seen what all of y'all went through.
So she
yeah.
knows your life better than your grandma does.
Oh yeah.
That's
Really?
That's why I tell Marquise that works with us. I'm like, my mom was raised by Willie Wilburn, man.
Like straight up.
My mama was raised by Willie Wilburn.
Yeah.
Watch your foot on the.
But yeah, Willie.
No, I got you.
Yeah.
I've seen the camera do a jitter.
Yeah, Willie. Along with Willie, she was so funny. It's amazing. She had 4 kids. My sister Tammy and her son Rob are the same age. Then she had Stoney, and Mama had Dooley. They're the same age. There's Sharon and Kyle. They're the same age. And then there's me and Lisa. We're the same age.
So she had
Willie,
right in line.
Yeah, Willie and Mama had the kids at the same time, and then all of a sudden we become one big family. And then of course Joe, Mama thought the world of Joe. He'd come over there and pick Willie up, and But Willie Wilburn, even the hard times that she's seen us go through with Mom, she never left our side when she could have left plenty of times.
Right.
Because it got crazy. But when Mom died and Granny took us, Willie came with us. Willie was part of us.
y'all.
It was 5 of us. Willie, Tammy, Dooley, Kyle, and me. And so Granny took her on, and she stayed with us till Grandma passed away, and then she started helping me.
I was about to say she stayed with us until.
Mm-hmm.
That was like
I mean, she was in and out of our house through my high school years.
Yeah, that's what I always saw Miss Willie as Mama's godmother.
Yeah.
She did. She took care of me. And then, of course, when I got sick, she was over there taking care of me every day.
Yeah.
Joe would come drop her off. I mean, Willie was like my mom.
Yeah, Willie was a good person.
She was.
She's the same.
And she knew I'd do anything for her.
She's a good
Her
person.
and old Mr. Joe.
Matter of fact, not too long ago when I went back to my rheumatoid doctor, Willie would always call me and say, remember now, I'm going to the doctor's with you. And I said, I'll pick you up, Willie. When I went, she said, now where's the lady that always with you? I said, she passed away. And of course I got teared up. And she was like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say anything. And I said, no. I said, I miss her.
Yeah.
Yeah, I miss her.
Absolutely.
She's a mess. You talking about somebody could tell some stories about Dooley and Kyle and Tammy and me. She would crack your side.
I'm sure.
Yeah. I mean, it was one time there was she was with Mom, and Mom been drinking, and she was coming to the school to pick us up. And we all sitting up in the station wagon. And it was Mom and Willie, me, I think it was Dooley and Tammy in the back seat, and then in the station wagon it folded up, so me and Kyle was in the back. We always had to face each other. And we got right in front of the radio station. And I don't know what Tammy said to Mom, but she got so mad. And she kicked that station wagon, and she said, you know what? I'm just going to kill all of us. And Willie's going, woo, Miss Marthan, now you need to slow this right down now, Miss Marthan.
Lord help.
Wait a minute, Miss Marthan. And she was like, y'all just better hang on. And y'all, the gas station that's still there across the street at the end of that stop sign heading toward the 4-lane, it's still there. And it was operating as a gas station at that
So
time.
you're talking about the car wash?
Yes, a car wash
Yeah.
now. She took off. I mean, she was flying. And right before we got to that stop sign, she slammed on brakes. And Willie said, whew, I think I just need to get out and walk. And we were hiding. We were screaming.
Ooh.
But we've got some stories
I
that
bet.
it's just crazy that we're all still alive and we all got good sense.
Right.
That, we don't do drugs,
Yeah,
And
it
I
is. It's a
think-
miracle that y'all didn't. I mean, with the vices your family had, and the things that we are prone to in our family, like all of y'all turned out to be great human beings.
Right.
Like you, Kyle, Dooley, Tammy, all of y'all ended up being very successful and very good people
Right.
to the people around you.
Yeah. And I'll tell you what, my best friend Lisa Coggins, I mean, all from every day she'd come home with me, every day. And I was thinking, why is her mom and daddy letting her hang out with me? Because I know she knows something's going on. I mean, we just didn't have a normal life there. And when Mom died, her mom told me, she said, I let her come because you always said that if Lisa's there, your mama acts better. And she did.
And she looked after you that way.
Yeah. And Lisa, thank God, Lisa, I'd go spend the night with her, but if I was at home and on a weekend, I'd want her to spend the night with me because Mom would act a little better.
Thank you, Miss Lisa.
So, but I do. We should write a book because there are some things that are
Y'all need an ESPN
cut
30
to the
for 30.
bone.
Y'all need a 30 for 30, I'm telling you.
Yeah,
Like all
it
of
would
y'all.
cut you to the bone. Just
I can only imagine.
to mentally think
You're
what
talking about Miss Haynes, right?
Lisa, Lisa
Thank you,
Haynes.
Miss Haynes.
Yeah, Lisa Coggins Haynes was my best friend. And she married my best friend that was a guy, Jeff. But my true best friend in my life was Clark Thompson.
Clark Thompson.
Clark Thompson. I love you, Clark. I do. I always call him, hey, Claudine. That's what I always called him. Now, me and him, Granny used to say, Claudine, what have you done got into now? Because he was something. I don't care whether he was drinking as a teenager. He couldn't drive no way.
Just
He
straight
just
up
can't
couldn't drive.
He can't drive.
Some people can't.
He
That's
just
just
couldn't
how it is.
drive. I mean, it was crazy. But yeah, we all made it out alive.
Well, thank God for it. So I was going to say, we went through Corrine taking you in. We went through you getting to Emmanuel meeting Coach Bonner. Now,
Right.
after Emmanuel, do you
Yeah,
have,
I went
like-
to.
because you still had you were in another state entirely when Corrine passed.
Right, I was in Kentucky.
So you had other things happen before Corrine passed away.
Right.
When you were...
I was in, when I left Emmanuel, I went to Murray State in Kentucky and was playing basketball. And I came.
How long did you do that?
I was only there for a semester.
And
But
then
I had
passed.
she passed away Christmas
And that's
Day.
why you moved back
And
to
that's
Lander.
why, yeah.
Oh, she passed on Christmas Day.
Mm-hmm. Granny died on Christmas Day.
Hmm.
Yeah. So I was at, I went to Murray State. Tammy and her first husband drove me out there. And then I brought one of my roommates home, y'all. This was funny. I was like, look, Donna, we're not hanging out for Thanksgiving. I mean, you live in Texas. I live in Georgia. I'm closer from Kentucky, to Georgia. We're going to surprise my grandma. So we got in that Z28 and headed to Georgia. And when we got here, I knocked on the door and Granny looked up and I was just waving at her, And we walked in and I said, Granny, I said, I wanted to surprise you. I was coming home for Thanksgiving. And I said, this is Donna. She plays basketball with us at Kentucky. And she looked up she was laying on the couch. She looked up and she said, well, good Lord, everything is big in Texas, ain't it? And I said, Granny.
Lord help.
I said, she was talking about how tall she was. But she was like 6'4", I think, 6'5".
Goodness.
I was the shortest one on the team. Like, we had a girl, Heidi, that was on there, and she was close to 7.
Wow.
She was from Alaska.
Murray State. Was it Murray State?
Murray State, in
Murray
Murray,
State.
Kentucky.
How about that? And then Corrine passed away at 21.
Yeah.
So you were there a
20.
semester.
Yeah, I was there for a semester. And I came home, knew Granny was in the hospital, and Tammy said, go ahead and pack all your stuff up just in case things don't go right. So I packed up everything and drove all the way back to Georgia by myself. I think it was like a little less than a 10-hour drive. Got to the hospital there for a day, and then the next day was Christmas, and Granny passed away Christmas Day. And
were all of y'all there?
yes, we were all there. I was actually in the room when she passed away because I was thinking, why is her feet so cold? But,
low circulation,
yeah,
and all the
I
great
was
things
like,
that goes with
bless her
passing
heart.
on.
I was talking to her, and I remember Dr. McAvoy saying that when they're in a coma like that, the last thing to go is their hearing. So I was telling her, I love her, I'm at home, don't worry, because she worried to death about me. Cause
You were a baby.
Yeah, Dooley, Tammy, and Kyle were at Lander in Greenwood, and I just wanted to go.
Did they were they straight to Lander, all three of them?
No, Dooley went to Emmanuel. I think Tammy went to Emmanuel for like a semester or something, but Tammy went she went to Lander 4 years. Kyle went to Gainesville and then to Lander. Dooley went to Emmanuel, then Lander, and I went to Emmanuel and
Kentucky and then Lander.
Yeah. Kyle's the only one I think went to
So
Emmanuel.
it was right after Corrine passed away. Was it like next semester you ended up at Lander?
Yeah.
Bing, bang, boom?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Walked on.
Did they know you just because the family had already had 3 siblings up there?
Yeah, they
kind of knew you?
They already knew who I was. But when I got there, Tammy helped get me enrolled, transferred everything, and I lived with her and her first husband, Owen, till I got on campus. Because I came in, January. So.
Where were your party years at?
Ooh, it wasn't at Emmanuel. Coach Bonner kept a close tie on us. I'll be honest with you, when Granny passed away, I kind of went in a rut.
I bet.
Yeah.
I mean,
was
you had already
depressed.
had a lot of loss in your life at 21
Was
years
you
old.
back at Murray State after she passed away? Or
No, I had to
You
make
did
that,
not go back.
I had to
Yeah,
make the
so
phone call to my
you had
coach.
to call him and tell him you wasn't coming
Oh, and he wasn't nice at all. But,
Really?
Well,
After you
after-
saw a loss in your family, he still wasn't nice?
Donna,
Hey, whoever you are,
back. Hey, whatever coach thinks
just
that
know.
family's not more important than sport, get out of here.
yeah.
yeah,
Like, you better hope I don't find out who you are, Chief.
yeah, Donna said that when they walked it, he announced that I wouldn't be back, and said he walked over to we all had our own
Like locker.
lockers. Said he jerked Harper off the thing, and I don't know. She said he broke it in half or he slung it across the thing.
What kind of investment did this
And
dude
I
You know
have?
what that is?
Petty?
Not even, no. That's fuel.
Oh.
Fuel.
Yeah, so I
Because
was
then
like,
what'd you do after Murray State? You went to Lander, right?
yeah, went to
And then
Lander.
did what?
I was very successful
Exactly.
there.
So
Whatever
coach you are, if you're still breathing.
Yeah, it was.
Well, it's all life, and it happens for a reason.
It does, and I mean,
You learn lessons as you go.
I would have went back to Murray State. I loved it there. I love my coach. I mean, I loved all the people that I played with. I learned. I mean, I was not found out I was the only Georgia girl on the whole campus, and there was one black guy on the football team that was from Georgia. We were the only two, and they'd always want us to talk because they said we talk funny.
Well, I ain't gonna lie to you. I'm not gonna say any names because I love them and I know them. But there was some stuff that was brought up on the TV recently that had to do with Elbert County, and they interviewed some people from us, and it was like, interviewer was like, hey, we got so and so and so and so down here, and blah 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 blah. And when they went to speaking, boy, we sound like cornbread.
Yeah,
like we really do. We sound like cornbread.
We country bumpkins.
We really do.
We are.
But it was cute as it could be because, I mean, to us, we just sound normal.
Well,
like nothing sounds out of place, even in this room talking to y'all. But people outside of this can hear it. And somebody might hear my voice and be like, what is he saying?
Exactly.
Right.
I went to South Georgia once, and they was like, where are you from?
Right.
Farther south than here? Are you from Alabama?
No. Well, I know where we're going to compartmentalize this.
Right.
So,
and we can.
I don't, I don't want you to continue, because I want to go into greatness. But before we break away, this is what I want to do. So we covered your childhood, essentially, up through your first couple college years. Mm-hmm. Is there anything, one, that you would like to say to anybody that may or may not be going through something in a similar light in their own life in Elbert County? Because even though it's a struggle to, especially as your son, to hear you have gone through some of these things, I can only hope that somebody out there can see that you have a good head on your shoulders and that you've lived a good life. And we're going to go into a lot more of this later. But just getting through those harder times, was there something that gave you hope? Was there something that got you through that? Or was it just living it and then after the fact you look back and was like, had to appreciate it for what it was? Like, what would you say to someone that may be going through something similar right now?
Well, I will tell this, and I've only told a few people in my life, but and I know now as a Christian, living a Christian life, I've always considered myself a Christian, but really, probably the last 15 years, I've really built my relationship with God to where I know where I'm at, how, what He expects of us while we're here. I've always been nice to people. I've always been kind. But that is way more than what God wants us to be. So, but I know I've told Lisa Coggins. I told my sister. And I may have told Dooley and Kyle, but I don't know. I may have told y'all. But when I was a little girl, it was shortly after Dad died. And we was just going through rough times with Mom. I was riding my bike, and we lived in Sunny Acres, and it's actually where Mary Jean Hickamom lives now. So I was riding my bike, just being a child. I was probably 8 or 9, I think. And I rode my bike to the end of the driveway, and I don't know, something broke or something. I don't know, maybe the little rubber thing handle come off of it, because I always was trying to pop wheelies and stuff, and I think I pulled it off. So I looked down and I picked it up, and when I went to put it on there, I couldn't get it on there. So when I got up, I just happened to look up the street, and there's a silhouette of Jesus standing there. I didn't know what to think of it. It was just brief, y'all. And I was like, and I remember seeing pictures in the Bible when we would go to church at Asbury Church, where Mom used to, we'd walk to church. And I remember seeing those pictures, and I was like, that was Jesus. And I was scared. I was like, oh my God. So I put the thing in there, and I ran back in the house, and I just went to my room, and I didn't know what to say. I didn't know who to say it to, or if I needed to tell somebody, would they believe me? Right. But from that day forward, I knew I was going to be okay. Inside, as an 8-year-old girl, to know it's going to be okay. All the abuse was going through, that He was watching over us.
That's powerful.
I know it is. But anyway.
Ooh, I need to get up out of here.
I know. But anyway, a lot of the girls that I've coached, I've seen some of them in me.
Right.
Because I grew up not wanting to dress out because I had bruises or whatever. But I think I've always felt that God put me in their life to help guide them and know how to deal with stuff like this. So, especially being an athlete and seeing some of them have this look on their face, and I knew it was beyond what was going on in school. And I just had that intuition of knowing and seeing there's something going on in this child's life beyond somebody picking on them or teacher
Bad
got
grades.
onto them or, struggling in a class
Besides
or whatever.
normal kids stuff.
Yeah, normal stuff that kids go through. And I've talked to a lot of them one-on-one. And I just said, look, remember, you always got parents. Your mom and dad's the only two people you're ever going to have. That's your mom and dad. They love you no matter what. And a lot of things that they do or say may not be what you think's love. But and some of it stems from alcoholism. Being in that situation that I used to be in. I said, but don't ever talk back to your parents. Love them in the moment that you're in. Because you're going to get older one day, and when you leave at 18, then what you've learned that you didn't like, that you was living in, learn that's the life you don't want to live in, and make it a better life.
Don't repeat the process.
Don't think you got to repeat anything. So,
That's very good advice.
It's sad though when that's the only thing that keeps them comfortable.
Right.
Is living in that. Because they don't know how to survive in love, I guess.
Right.
Well, some people become skeptical that it actually exists. Like, that
I've been
love
there.
is possible.
Been there.
So, trauma's a real thing, man. So if you're going through some hard times out there, be it in this little small community that we're talking to here and now, or if you see this later, there's light, there's people that care, and from someone that's been through it, I'm sure that you can see that there's light at the end of that tunnel. So just stay strong and persevere. It will get better if you can keep going. Just keep stepping forward.
And my thing is, no matter how bad life seems right now, just be nice to everybody. Be kind. Your smile can change somebody's day.
That's
Even
right.
though you may have pain in your heart or you feel having a bad day, you don't have to justify your day by what you feel. Share love and happiness, and it'll make you feel better. I promise you. People are like, well, how can you always be happy? I just have God in my life.
Well, I've adopted that demeanor because of you. So
Well, I hope so.
I try.
I think
I try.
I've told y'all enough.
I truly try. But I'll stop there today. We'll have to do this again. We'll go from where we are to the Emmanuel Lander transition.
Right.
And then we'll take off from there. We'll start after Corrine passes. But thank you for all that stopped in to hang out. Cole, if you want to come hang out and give Mama a hug.
I'm back here. I've been crying back here.
I know.
Lead
try
by
not-
example, people.
I know. I try not to cry. I try to be strong. It's
No, you're
tough.
good. It's
tough.
hard. Well, look, I
Yeah.
expected
I
this.
ain't gonna Y'all see.
This
I do. I cry. I'll cry at a drop of a hat.
this is what this show is supposed to be about. So thank you for
You're
coming
welcome.
on
Well,
and,
thank you
and
for-
sharing.
Yeah.
It means a lot. I feel like these are the kind of things that I wanted the community to know about you,
Right.
because there's so much to learn, and I've been blessed enough to have you as a mom. So I got to learn them throughout life.
I love
So,
you.
I
Well,
love
I
you
hope
too.
I've done a good job.
Thank you for everybody tuning in. This has been episode 1 of Social Therapy. I hope you have a blessed day and a good week.
That's right.
Thank you for tuning in again. We love you guys.
Hey, happy Valentine's
Happy
Day.
Valentine's
Happy
Day.
Valentine's Day.
Yeah, we didn't turn the lights down this time.
Have a blessed one, guys.
Bye,
Thank
guys.
you. That was fun.
Woo. That shit was hot.
Appreciate it, man. I like playing music. It's one of my favorite things to do.